Hello and welcome to Cobalt Retro Tech. Hope you're having an amazing day. Now today's video is going to be only slightly different than what my normal videos are. I was filming this video in context of a don't watch YouTube all freaking day for about a week challenge, but I ended up not being able to film for a decent number of those days because of unexpected plans, that had popped up while I was trying to do this. So it ended up being just a few days of poking at my G3. But I feel like I learned a lot from doing this pseudo challenge, and I figured that this video would be entertaining enough as it is, so let's get started. This video is already showing itself to be a little bit of a challenge, because I'm trying to look up an image of Bender Bending Rodriguez from Futurama, and I can't just grab the photo by itself on Classilla, because most of the modern web, go figure, have stronger security certificates that make it impossible to just grab an image off of a web browser. Now, fortunately, Clippy here should be able to help me out here, but this is a perfect example of the trials and tribulations that this challenge will put me through. Okay, right click, save image. Finally, we have an image to be saved. I could put it on the iMac G3 flash drive that's plugged into Clippy right now. Bender, I should say, as that is the new name for this thing. The iMac G3, aka Bender, has been a major pain for a long time now, specifically having power issues. So I figured I would name it after a nerdy, temperamental character that I love. Boom. Bender. So I should be able to take this flash drive. Stop it. Okay. What the hell is going on here? Yes. That's a lot easier to do on modern Windows. Modern Windows took away those 3 clicks that are totally unnecessary. Which, that's a good thing. Because you don't need 3 clicks to eject a drive. That is that. Should be able to do that. And the flash drive should pop up here on the iMac Bender any second now. Alright. There's the flash drive. There's the JPEG. I might be able to open it with QuickTime later. There we go. Okay. Okay, so I want to make this image my desktop background. I keep grabbing the wrong mouse. There should be a way to do that. Pattern may be covered by the picture. I'm so used to modern operating systems being so quiet. This is weird, but really cool at the same time. Okay, I'm going to place the image file directly on the hard drive. Why does this operating system need so many noises? This is awesome, yet slightly annoying at the same time. Oh boy. macOS. Hey! There we go! There he is. Well, that's an appropriate desktop background if I ever saw one for a computer named Bender. And this is only the beginning of this whole quest. This is day one, mind you, and I'm already facing hurdles. I don't know if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. Today is day 2 of the Retro Week Challenge, aka the ban of casual browsing on YouTube. It's only been 24 hours at this point, and I've already noticed how much I've been going onto YouTube. I've caught myself opening the YouTube client on my phone many times at this point, which is the entire point of this challenge, is to prevent me from doing that all the time anyways. Now that I'm doing Cobalt Retro Tech full time, I need to focus more on my YouTube channel and more on my music, Cobalt Heart, so I can't exactly just watch YouTube all day some days. Today I kind of wanted to focus a little bit more on the iMac G3, as I don't believe I've given this thing enough justice on the channel so far, even though I did recently put out a video restoring macOS 9 on this machine. So I've already been poking around with a few different programs on here. I've got iTunes running. I was able to import my entire library here, including my own songs, which is, I mean, to be expected because they're MP3 files, but it's still kind of cool to me. That old technology like this is able to read new MP3 files. I have no idea why, it's just neat to me. And I've been poking around a lot at macOS itself. I discovered that if you command click, option click, I discovered if you option click the time up here, not only can you do different formats for the time and date and configure network time server stuff, but you can also do a lot of different things with the clock itself, including changing the font and the size of the clock. So you might, there's a little bit of a glare there, but you might be able to barely make out that that clock looks different now. But not only that, you can make it chime not only on the hour, but every 15 minutes and match the number of times that is in the current hour. Which, I have this Mac set up to chime on the hour with the chew toy sound effect. That's the sound effect we heard on the Restoring this iMac with macOS 9 Lives. You know, it's not exactly my style, but I do really like it. It's really cute. Problem is, when you have this set to match the number of times on the hour, it's really cute when it's 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 o'clock, but when it gets to 12, like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock, it gets annoying pretty quick. But it is neat that that is an option. It's one of the many accessibility things that macOS has done, even way back in the day. Speaking of, I'm just gonna go ahead and reset this to the default font. Speaking of accessibility, I found a really neat feature of this Mac that I'm pretty sure is in modern Macs in some capacity. I'm just really surprised it's in an operating system from the very late 90s. And what is that? Well, that is speakable items.
Speakable items, it's starting up.
Now, it's not what it looks like at first. I thought this was a text-to-speech.
Speakable items is ready.
I thought this was a text-to-speech engine, and it kind of is. But if you zoom in real quick, you could notice that it's actually listening to me with the built-in microphone. So I have it configured to always listen. So a little bit like Siri, I can say a specific phrase and it starts listening. For example, computer, open a file. At least it's supposed to work. Computer, open a file. Just give it a second. Well, it did something. You can tell it did respond to me. Let's try something else. Computer, open commands window. I swear, it was a lot more responsive to me last time. Maybe it's just because I'm a little too loud. Computer, open commands file. Computer, open commands window. There we go. Okay, apparently it's a little bit finicky, but it does work. Computer, turn on push to talk. So now it doesn't always listen and I have to hold the escape key to talk. Listen continuously. Computer, close all windows. It didn't do anything because it doesn't like touching its own program, but if we open up, let's say, iTunes, enter our key, I'm just opening a bunch of programs just to have a bunch of programs open. And I actually did put a gigabyte of RAM in this thing a little while back. I don't know if I was able to... Oh, let me zoom out here. I don't know if I was able to capture that on video. I think I remember filming that, but I'll have to look through my videos archives to find that. Maybe I can put it up on the channel if I can find it. What I was saying is that that this iMac came with 64 megabytes of RAM. I've since put a gigabyte of RAM into it, so I can actually open other programs and Clicilla at the same time. Computer, close all windows. Well, that wasn't all of them, but it was one of them, so that's something. Okay, I'm curious to see what this does. Computer, Apple channel.
One moment, please.
Whoa. Sherlock 2. I'm still not sure what Sherlock does. I'm not Sherlock. Oh, sorry, bad pun. And one thing I'm actually growing to really like on classic macOS is the control strip. How I understand macOS is that this was kind of superseded by the dock, but I'd wager to say that it's not quite the same as the dock, and modern macOS does need something like this. Now, it's not the end of the world if modern macOS doesn't have this, but, you know, look at all these options that we kind of don't really have access to anymore in this kind of fashion. I can turn on and off speakable items. I can turn on and off web sharing. Do control options, sound control options just right here. Specifically for audio inputs and outputs. Obviously, you know, the sound file sharing stuff and direct monitor options that you just don't really get in this fashion on modern macOS. I'm not even 100% sure why Apple got rid of the control strip, but admittedly, it's not super needed, but it is very nice to have. And I think I've mentioned this before, but the whole operating system making a lot of sounds, it's really neat and endearing and a sign of the late 90s. I'm kind of glad computers don't do little sounds for every single little action anymore, at least not quite like this. You know, Windows 10, for example, Windows 10 and 11, they have a lot of different sounds for a lot of different things like notifications, alarms, blah, blah, blah. But they don't have sounds, at least not by default, for opening and dragging windows, for example. That's just not a thing on Windows. Again, not by default. One thing I've never really fully understood about macOS is that also, by default, the Finder doesn't list items in a list. By default, it's always this loosey-goosey, put anything anywhere you want kind of thing. And, you know, I get it. I see how that would be desirable. I see how that could be the default option, especially, you know, way back in the day when you're trying to flex how awesome your operating system is. But at the same time, I'm a guy going from Windows to macOS, so I'm very used to File Explorer, always doing things in a rigid list kind of function. And even if you do get to this kind of view, it's always in a grid. So I guess in a way, it kind of bothers me that Finder doesn't snap everything to a grid by default. Same with the desktop. With the desktop, by default, you can't just place it anywhere. See, even putting an putting an icon down on the desktop creates a noise. I'm sure I could change that with the theme settings, but it's kind of noisy. Of course, I did change the theme when I was trying to figure out how to change the desktop background, so I'm sure it just has something to do with the theme itself. Maybe? Probably. Okay, that did... Okay, it's a... macOS is a lot quieter now, so it's probably something to do with the theme. So I'm gonna put it back to where it was, and suddenly it's loud now. Which one did I have it on before? Mono blue. Yeah, it's something to do with the theme. Okay, never mind. What? Interesting. The theme can have the ability to change how the arrows look on a scroll bar. With Mono Blue, it had arrows at either end of the scroll bar, but with this theme that I ended up with, it has both of the buttons at the end of the scroll bar. Why is that even an option? Oh, so changing the position of the buttons on the scroll bar is an option, but you can't flip the side where the close button is on? macOS is confusing from a Windows perspective sometimes. Double-click the bar to collapse windows. Yo! Okay, that is sweet. I'm used to double-clicking the bar again on Windows. That usually maximizes the window, but having it be close window is kind of cool by itself. You definitely can turn all of that off. That's okay. That's good to know. The weird thing is the constant noises does kind of annoy me, but it also doesn't at the same time. Again, I kind of find it endearing in a way. So to speak, a sign of the 90s. But I can totally see how that would get very annoying very quickly. So, as you've already seen, I've gotten a few programs on this Mac already. Surprisingly, I was able to do that with Clippy, which is really weird because I remember the last time I was transferring files with the Windows PC, the macOS didn't want to touch files marked as tainted by PC, but here we are. So right now I want to install some more programs, but not programs I've gotten off the internet. I have a couple of programs that I can actually use with some physical media. I think I've installed it on the channel before, but I have Pajama Sam. Number one, I don't know if my other Pajama Sam games have mixed mode, but number one does. And I believe I also have a disk of Audacity that should also work under macOS 9. And while we're at it, I'm going to see what other programs I have are compatible with macOS. And of course, the thing I have most of my games for PC/Mac in, a Hot Wheels case. Something I got a long time ago with also a pair of speakers that ended up not working. And there he is, the first disc in this book. Pajama Sam, no need to hide when it's dark outside. And the system requirements on the disk itself are a little bit vague. But you can see on the disk here, it supports Windows 98, ME 2000, XP, and Mac. And I believe I've done it before, but I can just put this in the iMac in the SAN disk drive, and it should start reading it here pretty soon. And while we're waiting for that to happen, I might as well go ahead and... Oh, of course, that's gonna... I believe this can play just off of the disk. Yes. No printer is detected. Why would I need a printer? I believe this is going to be a little loud because my music was loud earlier when I was listening to music. Yeah. Interesting. So that can just run off of the disk. So that means by default on Mac, it just runs off of the disk. Interesting. I can't remember if it also does that on Windows. Because I could have sworn that Pajama Sam 1 gives an install option at least on Windows. But maybe it doesn't on Mac. I'll have to double check that at some point. Can I create a new folder? Yes. Let's have that be games. And I guess to install Pajama Sam, I'm just going to treat this like any other macOS application, except I'm going to put this in games instead of applications. PJ Sam. There we go. And at this point, I can just Command A for all and put them on hard drive. Let's see, what other games might I have for Mac? Pajama Sam Life is Rough does not have mix mode, but 3 does. I just don't know. So this one does say that it supports Mac, but it's a game from 2001, so I don't know if this is macOS 9 compatible. As I believe 2001 was roughly the beginning of the macOS 10 days. Okay? Hey, would you look at that? It does have a macOS 9 version. Cool. But does it work? Testing a CD-ROM drive speed. What? Why?
Not so fast, evildoer.
I didn't expect this one to be compatible with macOS 9, but here we are. Alright. Let's go ahead and make a new folder then. Okay. Command N is the keyboard shortcut for making a new folder. PJ Sam 3. And yes, I am very well aware that this game series is meant for kids, but I still like playing them every once in a while for nostalgia's sake. While this game is copying, I decided to look through the rest of my discs. As I suspected, most of my games are not Mac compatible. But I did find out that one random game that I got quite a few years ago is Mac compatible. And considering it's compatible also with Windows 95, I have reason to believe that this game will work as well. So that very likely has some kind of mixed mode, just like Pajama Sam 1 and 3 here. There's probably an edition of Pajama Sam 2, I believe it's 2, it's either 2 or 4, that might have some kind of mixed mode. but not the specific copy that I have. I also got this disc of Audacity with a cheap record player I got some time ago, and it just so happens to have not only Windows editions of Audacity, but also various macOS versions of Audacity. It's like Audacity is a small program or something. And frankly, I'm kind of surprised that Audacity does have macOS 9 versions at all. The macOS 9 version seems to be 1.0, so they probably didn't make macOS 9 versions of Audacity for too long, but hey, it's something, and that'll let me at least have the capability of writing some music on a machine like this. I have no idea if I'm going to be successful in that regard, but if you do see that at some point in the future, that means it worked. At least well enough to do something. Alright, that's Pajama Sam 3. Done and dusted. Alright, and next we're going to install the iSpy thing. Again, it's kind of more meant for elementary school age kids, but I'm going to balance this out eventually because I'm going to get a copy of Doom working on here eventually anyways. So, it's not like I won't have any mature titles on here. Ooh, there's an install wizard on here. It's kind of interesting that even Mac programs have something for auto run with CD and DVD-ROM. Funny how copying a game directly off the disc takes friggin' ages, but installing the game... Yes, I know. Funny how installing the game just doesn't take much time at all. Of course, it's possible that most of the data is still on the disk, which I don't know. Which it might be, who knows. Come on, eject the disk. There we go. Now does this run without the disk? It does not. Friggin' DRM. You can see there, did attempt to launch, because now there's a saved games icon. I didn't actually play this much as a kid, as I focused a lot more on my consoles that I had at the time, which I believe was just the 360 and some Nintendo stuff like my DS.
Welcome to the game of Spooky I Spy. Name. Go to try.
Oh my god, this game. Again, it's definitely a game geared toward younger kids. I believe it's a Scholastic title, which is interesting. I just turned up the volume here so you can hear it a little better. Now it's doing whatever it is it's doing. This low-key reminds me of Goosebumps.
Enter if you dare.
If only I played this last month, it would have been more appropriate.
You're in for a scare.
Definite Goosebump vibes. Oh, man.
You've entered the house. Now the fun can begin.
I do remember...
Too bad you can't get out.
Shut up.
The way you came in. There's another way out. Here is.
Can you let me talk?
Behind the picture frame is a puzzle for you.
Can you let me talk, please? Thank you. I do remember playing this once or twice, because this does look familiar. Look and sound familiar. It's just, haven't played it in a long time. I only played it like once or twice
This
back in the day.
puzzle is a secret message which tells you how to get out of the house. But the pieces aren't here yet. To earn puzzle pieces, you have to go solve the I Spy riddles and play the games that I've hidden in this house. Then come back here and put your pieces in place.
Okay.
You can't get out here. The front door's been sealed. When you finish the puzzle, the way out is revealed. Here's a riddle for you to solve. Listen to it, then hunt for the items the riddle asks for on this screen. I spy 2 hooks, ghost, a star, a wooden handle, a bug in a jar, a bone that's stone, 6 numbers in line, 2 pairs of goggles, and a warning sign.
Interesting. What is that? I can barely see that. Oh, that's a 4. I think that goes here.
6 numbers in line.
Well, that's one of them. Bug in a jar. Or does it...
A bug in a jar.
How does that count as a jar? That's a flask. Okay. Wooden handle. There's a trumpet. Randomly. A bone that's stone.
One pair of goggles.
Ah. These animations are giving me Pajama Sam vibes.
A warning sign.
Ah. A star.
A star.
There it is. And this CD drive is, or DVD drive, it's technically a DVD drive. It's getting a workout today. Oh, also, I would like to look at ripping discs with iTunes. So I'm pretty sure there's a way to do that. Yeah, I can turn that down just a little bit. There we go. That's better. Here's Audacity. Mac. I believe 1.0. Oh, it's a zip file, you cheater. Good thing I have stuff at Expander. The disk with your preferred destination is currently locked. Okay. I'm not sure what it wants me to do. I'll go ahead and choose a folder, I guess. Oh. Okay, it's just going to work, even though it looked like it wasn't going to work. Applications. Audacity should be in here somewhere. There it is. And there we go. Audacity for macOS 9. It's definitely a very primitive version of Audacity compared to what we have now, but it is Audacity. Testing, 1, 2. Testing, 1, 2. Okay, it worked. Oh man, it works. There's a way I can change the project rate to 48K. Okay, cool. And just turn it up so you can hear that a little bit more. This version of Audacity requires that all tracks match the project sample. Oh. Should not have changed that.
Testing, 1, 2.
You know, the quality of the built-in microphone of this machine is actually surprisingly good. I would have expected it to be total crap, but it's actually, like, genuinely useful. That's really cool. I know I keep saying things are really cool. It's just, you know, from my perspective, you know, I'm 22 years old. I missed the era of computing where even Windows XP was brand new, let alone macOS 9 and earlier versions of current operating systems and all of that. So that's why I'm like really into retro technology. Is I missed all of these eras and important milestones in computing. You know, some people might be confused as to why I like all this technology. And, you know, I like technology in general, that's part of it. But it's also just the fact that these computers were able to do such amazing things, especially this era and later. They were able to do so many crazy things with such limited computing power back in the day. It's crazy. And what's even crazier is things like a gigabyte of RAM back in 1998 would have been prohibitively expensive. Hence the reason why machines like this came with 64 megabytes of RAM, which is barely enough to do anything on a system like this. So how people were able to do big things back in the day with limitations like that is amazing. What are some other things I can do with this iMac for this part of the video? Oh, yes, I wanted to rip a CD. So I don't have any CDs of my own, but I do have a bunch of CDs of copyrighted music. That does mean that I can't play the music because I don't want to potentially get a copyright strike, so I'm going to go ahead and turn down the volume all the way here so there's no chance of possibly getting a copyright strike. So, I do have this signed copy of Thunder Mother's latest album as of filming this video. I discovered this group when a good friend and myself went to go see the Scorpions at the Tacoma Dome last month as of filming this video. They absolutely stole the show, to be honest. Nothing against the Scorpions themselves, but they're kind of showing their age at this point. But yeah, Thunder Mother. They're like an all-female version of a mix of Metallica and AC/DC. So if you're into more like hair metal kind of stuff, I definitely recommend looking up Thunder Mother. For the record, not sponsored. I just love this group. As one published music author to another, these guys are awesome. Cobalt Heart approves. Okay, let's put this CD in the iMac and see what it's going to do, because I have yet to put an audio CD in here. Oh, it's doing something. CDDB? Okay, that's the title of the album, Black and Gold. Okay, so it's showing all of the songs. And I just opened up with iTunes, of course. And it's playing the music. Again, I can't play it because copyright. I love this group and I don't want them mad at me for pirating their music by putting it up on my channel without permission. And it's importing right now. I think it's just doing the one song though. So, I believe there's a way I can modify the settings that it uses to rip CDs. And I think I've already set it up the way I want it set up. Let's see. Effects. No sound enhancer. Importing. MP3 decoder. Or encoder, I should say. What is my custom configuration? 320 kilobits per second, mono/stereo, variable bitrate highest quality, 48 kilohertz, stereo, joint stereo. I have yet to burn a CD, so I guess I have to experiment with that as well. Yeah, that took about, what, 30 seconds, something like that. Not too bad. It'd be really slow to do this for, like, a lot of songs. Oh, wait, it's doing the whole thing. Sweet. Before I go, I kind of forgot. I wanted to test Audacity real quick with the microphone input, but I also wanted to talk a little bit about my experience so far with this challenge. I keep catching myself launching YouTube clients. So I have uninstalled the YouTube client on my Nintendo Switch. I can't uninstall YouTube on my phone primarily because I need ways to interact with my channel on some kind of modern device. Considering it's day number 2 so far, it kind of feels good in a way to make myself not watch YouTube for a little while. Primarily because I feel like I have a lot more time available. I feel like I actually have headspace to work. I feel like I have headspace to clean my apartment, have headspace to, sleep tight, Bender. Anyways, I feel like I have headspace to clean my apartment. I have headspace to film things for Cobalt Retro Tech. I have headspace to do other things. I didn't even realize how much the potato mode was, for lack of a better term, taking over. And that's exactly why I'm glad I started this challenge, because I don't want watching YouTube to really get in the way of producing YouTube videos. Okay, I have my amp and guitar all set up hardware-wise. So all I have to do now is launch Audacity and configure it to use the external input, and I should be able to record things. So this is an interesting difference between modern versions of Audacity and old versions of Audacity. For some reason, the MP3 formats had some kind of licensing thing that prevented programs like Audacity from just exporting to MP3 by default. So you had to download some kind of external MP3 library if you wanted to use MP3s. Nowadays, modern versions of Audacity just include the MP3 library by default because whatever licensing agreement that the MP3 format was under is now, like, expired or something like that. Okay, gotta turn off the tuner. It doesn't seem to be recording. Oh, yes it is. Okay, cool. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start recording. Hopefully, if I'm able to save this project, I'll be able to overlay this. Oh, hold on a second. Is there a way to make it also play what's being recorded in real time? Or is that something that this version can't do? I know in newer versions of Audacity you can just play back what's playing, but I don't think you can do that here. Project rates, 48K. Alright, cool. Error, opening. Something broke. Preferences. Okay, 48K, 48K. Everything is 48K. Okay, so what's the problem? Change the device and the preferences. Why is this suddenly being stubborn? Is the built-in sound hardware not capable of playing or recording at 48K? Oh boy. $44.1. It's not liking that. Okay. What happened? You literally just saw it record earlier. What the hell's going on? Alright, I'm just going to put it back on 44.1 because that's what it liked. Okay. Okay, restart. Come on, Audacity, you literally just worked. That one's for syncing. Okay, it was a fun little thing to play just as a test. I can't hear it, so I don't know how good it's sounding. Okay, let's play an actual riff, huh? Not my best performance, but hey, this isn't getting published, so there's no point in freaking out about it. Okay. Oh, that's right, I turned down the speakers. There we go. I do hear a buzz, which may or may not be due to the fact that this is recording with a computer that has a CRT. Ooh, that's clipping a lot. That's clipping. Okay. So that cut you just saw there, I was able to successfully record something here, but it was clipping a little too much. So let's go ahead and do that again. Alright, what does that sound like? Okay, you can see with the waveform there's significantly less clipping, so it's going to sound better. I'm sure there's something I could do about that CRT hum, or whatever the hell it's picking up. But I'll worry about that later. I'll go ahead and export that as a WAV file. I believe that just saved, so I can go ahead and go to the Finder. There it is. Okay, it just opens it back up in Audacity. Okay. Alright, cool. So, what did I learn from this experience? Well, I really learned to appreciate the computing history that has been going on over the last few decades. Considering some of the tasks that I've tried, including browsing the web off camera to certain sites like YouTube, didn't even work with the iMac G3, plus a bunch of stuff that I actually didn't end up getting on camera, and I think I might have lost some footage. I really liked the iMac G3, and I'll probably do a challenge vaguely like this in the future again. I don't know if that's going to be on camera, but I'll probably end up doing something like this again at some point, but under no circumstances am I making a G3 my main computer, just full stop main computer, because it does have some issues, particularly with recording audio, which I can't deal with properly, at least if I'm going to be officially publishing music. Plus, there's just not a whole lot of software available for macOS, especially early macOS, especially when you compare it to the PC side of the market. Go into the PC side of the computing market, there's just so much more software. Perhaps if I were to do something like this again, regardless if it's on camera or not, it would probably be with some kind of DOS or early Windows machine. But nonetheless, I did enjoy the experience. I learned a lot about macOS, early computing, and how slow these computers can be sometimes, especially with USB 1. I think it's either 1 or 1.1, but yeah, trying to copy 3 gigabytes of music onto a USB 1.1 drive, not exactly a fast process, and that kind of stuff just makes me very grateful that we have modern computers. Retro computers are great in and of themselves, but they're just not up to the task of modern computing. And with all that being said, thank you for watching this video. Please like it if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe if you want to see more, and if you want to support me a little bit more directly, I have some cool music linked in the description below, along with a Patreon page that starts at just $1 a month. Speaking of Patreon, I would like to thank my Kilo supporter, Indian Mac, for helping make Cobalt Retro Tech possible. Thank you. And with all that being said, I'll see you in the next video.